afternoon, financial professionals. Steve Walker, Vice President of Institutional Accounts here at E4 Insurance Services, welcoming you to The Brew, building relationships every week. Thanks for tuning in today. For those of you joining The Brew for the first time, welcome. We like to start each brewcast by celebrating today's National Day. And there's a number of them, so I'm just going to pick a few. We've got National Chocolate Ice Cream Day, National Running Day. Seems like those compete against each other a little bit. And also National VCR Day, which for some of the younger viewers might not even know what a VCR is, but it's a couple of great national days here. On today's brew, we welcome Cincinnati Life's Maria Ocrant, and I'll actually be filling in for Principals Mason McKinney, who had a last-minute schedule conflict that was unavoidable. And we'll share with our attendees employee retention solutions offered through two great programs that pair together really well to help keep employees feeling appreciated and financially secure. Feel free to use the chat box to share your thoughts or questions. Also, all attendees are in a drawing for a CE voucher and Starbucks gift card, and we'll be announcing the winner at the end. So I know we're already rolling, and I'm going to actually turn it over to you, Maria, to talk about the wonderful program of Cincinnati Life's Worksite, some of the benefits, specifically with guaranteed issue, and let's dive right in.
Thank you so much. You know, I've been in life insurance for 30 years, the last 6 of it with Cincinnati Life, and by far, this is my favorite thing to talk about. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here with you. So thank you again for having me on, and what I'd like to do is cover some high-level points of our program. This program is designed for all those employees who need life insurance for their families, but they never have the opportunity to discuss it with anyone. It's designed for employers to provide a benefit to their employees to not only retain them, but also attract new employees. And of course, this program is at no cost to that employer. Now, as Steve mentioned, our program allows for guaranteed life insurance. Well, what does that mean? That means, first of all, it's a very simple process. Secondly, we ask absolutely no medical questions whatsoever. There's no exam, there's no blood test, very simple. Now, our program should not be confused with group insurance. Group insurance is where the employer owns the policy. That's not what happens with our program. Our program allows for the employee to be the owner of their own policy. And with that being said, that goes a long way if that employee decides to leave their place of employment, or if they decide to retire. What happens? So this is a portability question. Well, portability is never a concern with us, because with our program, if that employee retires or they leave their place of employment, the policy will simply follow them. There's no change in cost. There's no change in death benefit. There's no change in type of insurance. And most importantly, there are no insurability questions asked at that time. And as most of you know, that could be a deal breaker. Lastly, what I'd like to mention is that our program is individualized to that employee. Our program portfolio has 3 different types of insurance, ranging from term to permanent. In addition, the insurance coverage can be not only for the employee, but for spouses, children, and even grandchildren are options. As you can see right now on my screen, the guaranteed amounts are based on age. And so with that, I'm going to hand it back over to Steve for a benefit of matching an executive role in a company.
And thank you very much, Maria. That is a great high-level overview. And like you mentioned, it is a great benefit. We've worked with many advisors and their clients on implementing that solution, and it is absolutely fantastic. So reminder, any questions that you have, put them right in the chat. But as I mentioned, I'm going to fill in for Mason and share my screen and go through Principal and their executive benefit program as well. And again, both Maria's portion as well as what I'll cover for Mason and Principal is really designed to be high level. If you have questions, talk to your RVP here at E4, and we are excited to talk to you on each of them. So now when we look through on the Principal side, comparing it a little bit to Cincinnati's worksite, this is more of that executive benefits, really looking at more of those executives and management type, and really getting those benefits, comparing to the group benefits and matching an employee's pay to their benefits. I know talking to Mason, what term that we use a lot is asymmetrical benefits for asymmetrical contributors. So as we go through that, really the question becomes, hey, as your key employees, you don't pay everybody the same. Should you give them the same benefits? And as you can see on the screen here, some of the solutions that Principal offers in that same guaranteed issue platform that Maria talked about with no underwriting is really looking at keeping those key employees happy. You can use it as key person coverage, as well as more of that benefit equalization or restoration tool. So really the key is in here, how do we determine who those difference makers are? How do we do that? So really, who are those key employees? And as you can see on those 3 bullet points, if something were to happen to them, will there be an impact to the operations or workflow? The relationships they have between the staff as well as customers. And then obviously sales, revenue, profitability. If some of those key drivers of revenue leave, or if they were to be gone, that's going to have a big impact on the overall financials of the company. So ultimately, again, whether it's the Cincinnati Worksite program or Principal's GI term, you don't want to go in leading with product. You want to ultimately offer a solution. And some of the solutions, you've got to identify those problems. So again, when you're looking and working with those executives, how do you identify, validate, and stand out from those competition? So again, a few great questions on the screen here. Do your group benefits provide proportionate coverage for your key people? All the way over to the right side, we're able to help provide asymmetrical benefits for asymmetrical contributors to your business. And as we continue moving on here, obviously there's multiple risks for not only the business, but more importantly, those key people. You've got life insurance risk, retirement risk, and then earnings replacement, which I'm not going to dwell on any of these. Obviously, there's a key risk that not only the business wants to address for their key people, but also those key people want to address for their family. And again, whether it is on this GI program, guaranteed issue program, or through Worksite, can accomplish a lot of great things. But really, just a quick example of where this will fit in on the Principal guaranteed issue term side is when you look at comparing the coverage. So again, we've got just 5 key employees throughout this company. The CEO, base salary of $200,000, annual bonus, getting that total annual compensation to $350,000, and you can see the list thereon throughout. And then in that column right here, the group life benefit, most of the employers you're going to work with is going to have a $50,000 group life insurance benefit. That's very, very common that you'll see, but really nothing supplemental. So when you look at comparatively compensation versus how much of that percentage of salary is being replaced, the higher you earn, the lower benefit or lower impact that has for that individual. So the CEO, obviously, they're only replacing 14% of that income. So again, providing those asymmetrical benefits for the asymmetrical contributors, we can look at some supplemental life on a carve-out basis. As you can see here in this column, the supplemental life 3 times compensation. That CEO is getting additional $1 million of life insurance, the senior VP $775, and so on and so forth, and really getting that to a meaningful benefit of replacing 300% of that income being replaced. Now, the guaranteed issue term program, again, it depends on age, but there's that 10 and 20 year term options. Where there's preferred and standard rates depending on the size of the group. And the big thing there is you've got to have that executive group of 10 or more lives. It is convertible to a permanent product for the first 5. And again, there is part of the program does offer that comprehensive plan and policy administration. Eligibility, that's that big question. So again, you've got to have that 10 plus lives. And what do those 10 plus lives have to coordinate with? There's got to be that employer-employee relationship. It can include owners as well as external directors. And it's designed for that executive and management level. Full-time employees actively at work 30 or more hours. That third bullet point, no absenteeism, for 5 consecutive days in the past 90. We'll need to know tobacco status. And again, that minimum salary requirement of $75,000. So again, that second there, no highly rated or declined participants. So those would be kind of those 2 big questions to get approval. As the decision maker, do you know of anybody that's been highly rated or declined? Has anybody been absent for 5 consecutive days in the last 90? So again, you can see those program eligibility bullet points right there. And then really just kind of that process. Again, it's one thing to get that business owner, that decision maker excited about it. It's a whole nother to get to, all right, we're ready to go. So again, we get the census, we get approval from principal, and then ultimately it's working with that decision maker, getting the application put together and finalized, and then it's e-signature throughout. So we make that process easy for the clients and as well as for you as the advisor. So again, we covered a lot between Maria and myself on 2 amazing programs. For those in the North Dakota area, Maria and Mason will actually be doing a workshop June 20th and 21st, going into a much deeper dive of how these programs work. So if you are in the Fargo or Bismarck area or within a driving range, make it a point. Reach out to somebody on our E4 team, and we'll happily get you the invite if you haven't been out there. Maria, is there anything else before we open it up for questions that you wanted to make sure that you talk on?
No, thank you very much.
Sounds excellent. And again, looking at the chat, I don't see any questions, but certainly feel free to use the chat, or if you wanted to come off of mute and ask your question that route, certainly open for that. And again, I know I filled in for Mason on principles, but I really do appreciate the great partnership that Maria with Cincinnati and Mason with Principal as we started talking over the last probably 6 to 12 months. Both of these programs add so much value to you as advisors as well as your clients. And really, they're not in competition with each other. They can work hand in hand. Cincinnati's worksite and Principal's guaranteed issue program can work very well hand in hand. Whether we're looking at adding additional value benefit to all employees and or that executive carve-out program, they work and play very nicely together. And you're doing a service to your business clients by bringing that up, at least making them aware that program's out there, because we're getting some great positive feedback and engagement throughout those advisors that we work with. So while we're waiting to see if any questions come in, and again, please unmute yourself if there are any. I'd like to remind everybody that today's brew and our full library of brews are recorded and shared on the reset on our brew blog on our website at e4.insurance. And as we're waiting for more questions, now it's time for our giveaway. So Maria, I'm going to ask you to reach into your top hat and pick a number between 1 and 24.
12.
Number 12. Let's see who the winner is. A lot of suspense building up here. The winner is Abby. Please watch your inbox for a CE voucher and Starbucks gift card, and from all of us here at E4. And we thank you for tuning into the brew. Before we kind of talk on next week's brew, going to give it another just minute to see if there is any additional questions. Well, seeing none, again, we wish Mason could have been here and keeping him in our thoughts as well. And Maria, we thank you very much for joining us. And I know we're all very excited to have Mason and Maria in Fargo and Bismarck here coming up in a couple of weeks on June 20th in Fargo and June 21st in Bismarck. Join us next week on The Brew as we welcome John Rafferty from Rafferty Annuity Framing. John will present a simple idea to help frame the many roles that a fixed indexed annuity with an income rider can perform for your clients. So without anything further or seeing any questions, we will see you next week on The Brew. And thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.